Welcome, Dominica. This is the Kairi TV News. I'm your presenter, Vanessa Bruno. Here are the big stories making the headlines. Prime Minister Skerrit meets with newly elected Marigot MP Anthony Charles. The Organization of American States, the OAS, strongly recommends electoral reform ahead of Dominica's next general elections. And the 16 days of activism to end violence against women and girls draws to an end. We'll be back with the details of these stories and more right after this break.
Are you looking for that perfect setup for your conference, seminar, or company function? Or maybe you need a low-budget setup for your party, dinner, or private gathering? How about that professional production for your grand concert, festival, or outdoor event? Kairi Sounds is here to provide you with everything you need. PA system, stage, lighting, microphones, tents, LED digital screens, generators, projectors, crowd barriers, and more. We also offer free event consultation to ensure the success of your special event. Call us today at 612-4050. Kairi Sounds, your partner in sound, stage, and lighting services.
Thank you for staying with us. Topping the news, the Electoral Observation Mission of the Organization of American States is recommending electoral reform before the next general elections. Dominicans headed to the polls on Tuesday, December 6, 2022, to elect a new government as Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit hit a national reset to bring about new leadership to correspond with the changing times for Dominica. The OAS Observer Mission has made several recommendations to advance efforts in the area of electoral reform over the last few elections. However, the mission states there has been little to no progress, either legislatively or administratively, on any of the more than 50 recommendations presented to Dominica since 2009. According to the preliminary report, the OAS mission notes Dominica cannot proceed to another election under the current rules. It will therefore be essential to have a new electoral framework in place before the next poll. Recognizing that the best time to implement electoral reform is immediately after an election, the mission encourages the authorities of Dominica to proceed with the planned consultations and legislative changes now to ensure that there is sufficient time to fully implement all necessary changes. In other top stories, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has held discussion with the duly elected Member of Parliament for the Marigot constituency. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit held cordial talks with the elected representative for the Marigot constituency, Anthony Charles, on Friday, following general elections held in Dominica on Tuesday, December 6th. Anthony Charles contested the seat as an independent candidate, defeating the Dominica Labour Party's Gregory Rivera. According to a press release from the Office of the Prime Minister, Mr. Skerrit assured Mr. Charles of the government's support and encouraged him to seek assistance to implement his development program for the constituency. Mr. Skerrit urged the newly elected MP to avail himself of the $50,000 allocation immediately available to parliamentary representatives to attend to constituency matters and the monthly allowance for the rental of a constituency office and payment of a secretary's salary. Charles expressed willingness to work with the Prime Minister Skerrit and the government to advance the interests of the Marigot constituency. Taking a look now at educational developments. Leading insurance and financial services entity Sagicor has adopted 6 primary schools across the Caribbean for the second year of its revamped Adopt a School Corporate Social Responsibility program. Nathaniel Durand explains.
This move forms part of Sagicor's Living Our Vision Everyday program. The Atkinson Primary School in Dominica is one of the 6 primary schools being adopted for the current 2022-2023 school year. Communications manager at Sagicor, Keisha Humphrey Mayers, noted the company will inject over $50,000 into the project.
In terms of our funding for the project, our initial injection is in excess of $50,000, but that's just the pillar works to be done. And that would include the works that I identified earlier with the adopted schools. That has nothing to do with the additional activities that we will be doing with the schools and the additional outreach that we'll be doing. But our impact is really so much more. It's our connection with our team members. It's our connection with our leadership. It's the connection with the parents and the wider communities. It's there's so much more than we'll be doing. Obviously, there will be things that you will see with your eye, refurbishments of the bathrooms and toilets and repaving the pathways to the schools, those kinds of things. But the connection is so much stronger than that. The work has not started as yet. And the reason being is it's a 2022 into 2023 program. So we'll start some of the work this year, what we can start, especially during the holiday period when the students are off. And then we'll carry that work into next year as well. And a lot of those activities will come into next year. But we're also including the wellness checks for the students, vision checks for the students, Women's Appreciation Day for the teachers, Reading Day, lots of other activities that we're going to be doing with the students that will go well past that initial investment of what we're giving.
As part of this program, the Atkinson Primary School will see the installation of new whiteboards in their classrooms, new educational murals, and will also receive an overhead projector. Senior teacher at the Atkinson Primary School, Mrs. Sonia Benjamin, says the school is pleased to be part of this program.
The Atkinson Primary School has been in operation for the past 40 years. At Atkinson Primary, we serve the entire Kalinalo territory, students coming from this district. Our population stands at 91, with 75% of these students coming from the Kalinalo territory. We try our best at the school to ensure that we provide a safe and healthy environment for our students. We believe in inclusiveness, and therefore we try to cater to the different needs of our students at the school. Therefore, we have a number of programs other than our programs in the curriculum. We have extracurricular activities such as cooking. We also have music and agriculture. So we try to give the children skills and also to develop that whole child. Again, we are happy to have been selected, the school to have been selected, and we look forward to working with Surgical.
The program is underpinned by 4 key pillars: physical environment, health, developmental and educational programs, and safety, and will involve support in various forms, including upgrades to the school's facilities, support of various school initiatives, and overall outreach. Nathaniel Durand, Kairi TV News.
This is the Kairi TV News. We'll be right back after this break.
Are you looking for that perfect setup for your conference, seminar, or company function? Or maybe you need a low-budget setup for your party, dinner, or private gathering? How about that professional production for your grand concert, festival, or outdoor event? Kairi Sounds is here to provide you with everything you need: PA system, stage, lighting, microphones, tents, LED digital screens, generators, projectors, crowd barriers, and more. We also offer free event consultation to ensure the success of your special event. Call us today at 612-4050. Kairi Sounds, your partner in sound, stage, and lighting services.
Welcome back. The 16 Days of Activism campaign to end violence against women comes to an end on Saturday. Linda Martin has that story.
The Unite campaign, which got underway on November 25th, ends on International Human Rights Day, December 10th. This campaign aims to prevent and eliminate violence against women and girls around the world. It calls for global action to increase awareness, promote advocacy, and create opportunities for discussion on challenges and solutions. This year's campaign, Unite Activism to End Violence Against Women and Girls, will aim to mobilize all of society to become activists for the prevention of violence against women. The campaign also calls for society to stand in solidarity with women's rights activists and to support feminist movements around the world. Leading the campaign in Dominica are the Business Professional Women Dominica Group alongside the Bureau of Gender Affairs.
Our activities this year fall under the UN Women National Behavioral Change and Communication Strategy Project, which began earlier this year. More specifically, during this particular 16 days period, the Bureau will focus is mainly on schools. A range of school programs have been developed to raise awareness on gender-based violence, to build the skills of students and the staff to empower them to advocate against gender-based violence and to build equitable and respectful relationships along their lifespan. Activities include the finalization of a storybook on gender-based violence for children between the ages of 9 and 12, drama and spoken word competitions across Silek High School, and design and painting of art murals at Silek school compounds. The business professional women will continue to advocate and mobilize resources to end period poverty, which is critical in the fight against gender-based violence. More specifically, research shows that there is a direct link between period poverty and the vulnerability to gender-based violence.
Former Minister for Gender Affairs Dr. Alice King says advocacy is one of the most effective ways to join the fight against gender-based violence.
Violence against women and girls is a global challenge. This year's theme calls for unity and activism in the continued fight to end violence against women and girls. To unite and advocate against violence against women and girls plays a central role in the efforts to eradicate and to remove the root causes of gender-based violence. My fellow Dominicans, advocacy is a significant strategy that can be utilized to influence decision makers in order to bring about changes and developments in policies and programs that protect women and girls from violence. Advocacy and unity can make important contribution towards preventative work in the realm of violence against women and girls.
Violence against women and girls is one of the most widespread, persistent, and devastating human rights violations. Linda Martin for Kairi TV News.
And the Commonwealth Observer Group has presented its preliminary findings on the December 6th general elections in the Commonwealth of Dominica. The findings of the group's observation concluded that election day and the pre-election atmosphere were largely peaceful. The report went on to say that voters were free to exercise their franchise, the results of which are a collective will of those who voted. The Observer Mission also commended the Electoral Office and its staff on their performance during the electoral process. According to the report, the group was particularly impressed by the large number of women and youth who participated in the electoral process, not only as candidates and voters, but also as polling staff, party agents, and witnesses or observers. It is the group's hope and expectation that the peaceful atmosphere that characterized Election Day will prevail. All Dominicans, especially political parties, candidates, and their supporters, are encouraged to continue to show magnanimity and to uphold their commitments to peace in a spirit of national unity and solidarity. The Commonwealth Observer Group urges that any disputes be addressed through the available legal mechanisms. You're watching the Kairi TV News. Stay tuned for a recap of the headlines right after this.
Are you looking for that perfect setup for your conference, seminar, or company function? Or maybe you need a low-budget setup for your party, dinner, or private gathering. How about that professional production for your grand concert, festival, or outdoor event? Kairi Sounds is here to provide you with everything you need. PA system, stage, lighting, microphones, tents, LED digital screens, generators, projectors, crowd barriers, and more. We also offer free event consultation to ensure the success of your special event. Call us today at 612-4050. Kairi Sounds, your partner in sound, stage, and lighting services.
To end the news, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Skerritt meets with the newly elected Marigot MP Anthony Charles. The Organization of American States strongly recommends electoral reform ahead of Dominica's next general elections. And the 16 days of activism to end violence against women and girls draws to an end. Tune in to 107.9, 93.1, 91.1 and 88.7 FM Monday to Friday for our radio newscasts at 6:30 a.m., 1 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. Go to Kairi TV on Flow Channel 953 to watch our TV newscasts Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. with repeats at 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/KairiFM. Check us out on Instagram at Kairi FM and follow us on Twitter at Kairi FM Dominica. Visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch up on any newscasts you may have missed. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Vanessa Bruno. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful weekend.